Happy Canada Day, everyone, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about what's going on in Canada. I just got back from there a few days ago, and I have three big takeaways that I just find are just so hypocritical. I had to talk about it. So, stick with me. I'm going to break down the three major takeaways that I had from spending, 4 or 5 days in Canada. And one being the buy Canadian bullshit that's going on, which is so not feasible. Secondly, the going 100% electric and with no infrastructure to support that. And the third thing, the tariffs. It's just a total David and Goliath scenario. So I just wanted to go over that as well. So stick with me. I'm going to break it down, and please like, subscribe, share. Um, Support means the world to me. So I really appreciate it. So, first thing I want to talk about is the Buy Canadian, which is great, great thing. Buy Canadian 100%. However, it's just, it's so hypocritical. I was in Newmarket, which is just north of Toronto, and I'm going to show you this. So this is what's going on in Canada right now. So they say buy Canadian. However, this Chick-fil-A is where there used to be your Swiss Chalet. And this is at the intersection of Leslie and Davis in Newmarket. There used to be, this isn't the exact one, but I went to go to the local Swiss Chalet because one of the things I like to do when I come back to Canada is get my Swiss Chalet, have my Tim Hortons, and have a really nice Caesar made with Clamato juice. Those are my three things that I want. So I go by the local Swiss Chalet, and it has turned into a Chick-fil-A. It's like, what? I couldn't believe it. I don't even go to Chick-fil-A. I live in the States, and I don't even go to Chick-fil-A in the States. Like, I maybe go with my kids, but to replace Swiss Chalet with a Chick-fil-A, I was just beyond. So they're planning on rolling out more and more. I think they're gonna I think there's like 8 right now, 8 to 10 of them in Canada. They've been rolling out in Alberta and Ontario, so they're gonna be rolling out even more. I think they're going to Saskatchewan. So I think they hope to get to 20 by the end of 2026. I'm sure they're gonna expand from there. But to replace a Swiss Chalet with a Chick-fil-A, I was just beyond. And so the hypocrisy is, and I'm gonna show you this video here. So at the liquor stores here,
Sorry, I came into my nose.
they're taking down the American liquor
Oh, the
and
American
replace,
stop.
and if you notice, they've already bought the liquor. So the liquor board has already bought the liquor. So they've already purchased it. So now they had it on the shelves, and now they're taking it off the shelves. It's not like they're going to return the liquor and get their money back. So they're taking American liquor off the shelves, but yet they're replacing Swiss Chalets with Chick-fil-A's. Don't get that. Oh, I was so irritated when I saw that Chick-fil-A. I was just like, oh my God, that total hypocrisy. Next thing is the Tim Hortons. I see this all the time, Sing Hortons, and it's so sad what's happened to Tim Hortons. And, my boyfriend's in Montreal. He's there right now. And he went to go to his local Tim Hortons, and it has been replaced with a Starbucks. So we're replacing Tim Hortons with Starbucks. We're replacing Swiss Chalets with Chick-fil-A's, and yet we're taking American liquor off the shelves. And, I saw this video, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. And here's the problem. I'm going to show you this quick video of a guy trying to order a double at Tim Hortons. It's just ridiculous.
Over here. Extra large, dark roast, double, espresso. Figure it the fuck out.
Think you got too much espresso.
Shut the fuck up. Give me my coffee. Give me my coffee. Why the fuck are you here arguing with me? It's super simple. Coffee in hand, I leave. Are you done? Coffee in hand, no more, cease. Everybody.
The problem is that a lot of people that work at these Tim Hortons, they don't speak English. So this is the problem here. How can you work at Tim Hortons and not know what a double is? It's just ridiculous. Anyways, so so I can see why people are kind of going away from the Tim Hortons and buying Starbucks instead, because I'm sure you can go to Starbucks and get a grande latte, double foam, blah, 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 and not have to worry about someone understanding what you're saying. Like, it's just unbelievable. My cousin's, son said, like, he's like, he's just at home for the summer from university. He's like, "I can't get a job at Tim Hortons." And my cousin works at a Canadian company, and I won't say the name, but let's just say they make, like, GM part they make car parts for the US, and he said that, someone they were hired this Indian person, and he's like, "They don't speak English." And not only do they not speak English, he said they only hire that person is only hiring Indian people within, like, under their department. And they complained and they said, "Well," they said, "everybody that works there, they have to be able to speak English." And they're like, "Yeah, but the person that they hired spoke English in the interview, but then they don't speak English to the people that speak English that are working there, and then they only hire more people that of their own ethnicity." But and it anyways, so again, they want you to buy Canadian, but unfortunately, you know, bringing in these large US companies like the Chick-fil-A's, like the Starbuckses that are running out these Canadian companies, taking the American whiskey off the shelves at the liquor board is not making any difference. Like I said, it's so hypocritical. I can't even, it's just beyond me. The second thing I want to talk about is going electric. So Canada wants to go to 100% new vehicles being 100% electric by 2035. And they want to be at, I think by 2030, they want to be at 60%. And right now they're at 20%. And I'm going to show you the problem with that. So here we have the stats of the amount of chargers. Oh, there is not enough chargers to warrant that. You know, I live here in the States. We drove from Phoenix to San Diego, and my son has a Tesla, and we have Tesla chargers everywhere. I have a supercharger like that has like 10 superchargers, like maybe a mile from my house. You go to the mall, there's like 10 plus 20 superchargers there. They're just everywhere. And when we drove from Phoenix to San Diego, like halfway there was a supercharger there. There was like, I think 10 spots, and they were still lined up out the door, with these superchargers, like the Teslas. He said there was like 10 cars in line to get to these superchargers. And Canada has quadruple the amount of superchargers that Canada has. And another thing you have to look, and I mean that per capita, not just like, I know the population is a lot higher here in the US, but I'm saying per capita, the Canada can't even keep up with that. And the interesting thing here on this graph is like, yes, the chargers are increasing every year. They're adding more and more charges. But the important one here is the green line, because the yellow line is the total chargers, which is great. It's going up. However, the black line is the level 2. So to charge a vehicle at the level 2, it takes between 5 to 10 hours, depending on your car. So it's 5 to 10 hours. So if you want to charge your car, and they mostly only have level 2s, so it's going to take 5 to 10 hours. The key is the green line. So in the States, a lot of especially the Teslas, they're all just superchargers. So that supercharger takes like half an hour to an hour, which would be, if you went to the gas station and you pumped gas and you cleaned your windshield, you went in, got a drink, whatever, you could say, well, it's about around the same time it would take me to get gas. But just think of everybody that goes on those chargers. If they're on the black line, it's going to take them 5 to 10 hours to charge their vehicle, which is a long time. And I'm from Aurora, Ontario. I counted the amount of chargers. So the population of Aurora is 70,000, about here and there. They had 20 chargers, and I don't even think any of them were superchargers, and a lot of them were at car dealerships. I think I saw one at a mall. And the big mall that they have, Upper Canada, they had 6 chargers for this huge mall. And then when I was there to check on my dad, I go to the hospital where we have chargers at all the hospitals here, and I didn't see any chargers, no chargers whatsoever. So And I never saw any charging stations. I was there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. I didn't see any charging stations. I hardly saw any Teslas. Here where I'm from, I'd say 1 in 3 is a Tesla. Not, let's just say 1 in 5. I'll say 1 in 5, but especially in Scottsdale, Arizona, for sure, I'd say it's more like 1 in 3. There's Teslas everywhere. In my neighborhood, there is 3 Cybertrucks just in my neighborhood alone, which is not a big neighborhood. There are 3 people in my neighborhood have Cybertrucks, and I think there's like 4 or 5 that have Teslas. So there's an abundance of electric vehicles here. So I just can't to be I just don't think that it's feasible for them to get there. And the second thing I want to talk about is, so here's another issue. When we have such extreme cold, because I remember back in the day, I'm not old, and my dad used to go put the heater underneath the battery, because it used to get so cold. So when he woke up in the morning and had to go to work, that the car would start. So with the extreme cold, the batteries don't last as long. So you have extreme cold, and in the summer you have extreme heat and humidity in Canada. But it's the extreme cold that I find that is just crazy. And I don't have it here, but I had a map of Canada, and all the chargers are in the southern part of Canada. So if you go to you go from Toronto to Thunder Bay, how do you can't get there. You can't get from Toronto to Thunder Bay in a regular old electric vehicle. And the problem is that, yes, maybe if you had a long range, but the longer the range, the more expensive the car. So you would have to be able to afford a long range EV vehicle to even get, like I said, from Toronto to Thunder Bay. You couldn't do it. So it is completely, virtually impossible for that to happen. And here's another thing. So this is Toronto, probably on a like Monday through Friday between 3 and probably 7 PM. This is what Toronto looks like. So then you have these superchargers, and this is gonna happen. Their battery's gonna die somewhere along this highway. So, and then it is just gonna be an absolute clusterfuck. I'm sorry, it's gonna be an absolute fucking clusterfuck if any of those cars, their battery dies. And it will happen. It happens here all the time, and we have an abundance of superchargers. So especially with, you got the heat, you got the cold, and can you imagine if all of these vehicles are electric? It, I don't know what's gonna happen. And not only that, just the safety. I remember going along this highway when I was a kid. My dad used to be one of the chiefs of the Toronto Fire Department, and we were going, this is like 401, and the 401 and the 404 is one of the biggest bottlenecks in one of the biggest bottlenecks in the whole entire world. I think Toronto has, I saw some statistics, some say the 3rd highest traffic in the world, some say like 7. So it's up there in the top 10, Toronto. And there was an accident, and they didn't move the vehicles off the road. And my dad was passing by, and he stopped and rolled down the window and said, "Get those fucking cars off the road, because you're blocking traffic. Like, if you can physically move the cars off the road," because it was backing up traffic like beyond, and it just wasn't necessary if they just would have pulled their vehicles over. And another thing here in Canada, or in Toronto, you have collectors lanes, and then you have the lanes that go straight through. So you don't have to get on and off. So the express lanes go faster because you're not getting on and off. So you have the collector lanes. So when you're in the express lanes, there's no way out. So it's hard for any emergency vehicle to get to you. So my dad always said, never go in the express lanes, always stay in the collectors, because if something happens, they can get to you. So you have this set up with 4 or 5 lanes being the express lanes. So anyways, I just don't think it's feasible. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to think that Canada, I think they're just, I think they're so naive to the fact that how many chargers it takes. Even when I was taking my son's Tesla, we had switched cars for a while. So I went to one of the supercharger bays, and it was Tesla, and there was 10 plus. And every time I went, every single charger was being used. Luckily, I got on, so there was never a lineup, but I did see at one point, like when I was uncharging, there seemed to be like a lineup building. But those every time I go to a supercharger, they're never empty. They're always pretty much full, and if not, there's a lineup. And we have way more chargers than Canada ever has. And I just don't think the infrastructure is there. And I also don't think that, you know, that going anywhere north in any province, you can't, as you go north, there's less and less chargers. So to get from point A to point B and not be able to stop to charge your car, it really limits where you can go. So if it's 100% electric, it's going to be really restraining to some people that have to do that, to go from one end of the province to the other. Anyways, that's my thing on EVs. I think it's completely unrealistic, and yeah, we'll see about that. And the third thing I want to talk about is the whole tariffs thing. So Canada was just going to put tariffs on the digital tax on US, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous that, yeah, anyways, Trump had sent out this message, and it says, "We have just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country to trade with, including the fact that they have charged our farmers as much as 400% tariffs for years on dairy products, has just announced that they are putting a digital service tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. They are obviously copying the European Union, which has done the same thing and is currently under discussion with us. Also, based on this egregious tax, we are hereby terminating all discussion on trade with Canada effectively immediately. We will let Canada know the tariffs that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America within the next 7-day period. Thank you for your attention at this matter." So, yeah, like I say, I see it this way. I see it as the United States is Goliath and Canada is David. You know, and if you know the story of David and Goliath, it's like you have this massive person massive. You can't to compete with this massive structure or person or country, you have to be very smart and strategic. So in the story of David and Goliath, David went up and he took one shot at that Goliath and he got him square in the middle of the head, and it was over. So I personally don't think that Canada has the leadership to make that happen. Trump, in this little meeting that they had right here, Carney got in 3 sentences. 3 sentences the whole time. I just don't think that Carney has the bandwidth to make that one shot. And I also think that Canadians don't understand why Trump has put these tariffs on. And one of the things that when he started this whole thing with tariffs, it was about the border and shutting off the border with illegals. He is headstrong on like it is one of the things that he said 82% of the people in the United States voted in Trump to get rid of the illegal aliens coming into the country. And part of that has to do with drugs. And so when you're cutting off Mexico and Mexico's adhering to him in the amount of illegals coming across the border, if you shut off that valve, the valve's going to come from the top. So Mexico's been shut off. It's going to come from the top. And what they don't understand is that Canada, I know, and I've done the stats, there's very, 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 very minute amount of drugs coming across from the north in the past. However, they've also been primarily coming from the south. So you shut off the valve in the south, they have a potential of coming through the north. But what they don't understand, and I think that's what Americans are seeing down here, is like, oh, how many people are really going to die from drugs and that have come from? Well, one person is one too many, because people, it's not a statistic or a number that is any part is okay. If it was your child, yeah, it would make a difference. And I just think of it's I don't know, whatever the number is of the amount of people, but that's someone's child, that's someone's mother, that's someone's father, that's someone's, that's one is too many. It's just it has to be stopped. And I think Canada did not take that seriously. But like I said, I don't think he's the guy. Carney's the guy. And here's his response right now to, I think he's trying to play chess, but I think he's playing checkers. But have a listen here.
Had a good conversation with President Trump, and we agreed to recommence our negotiations with a view to the 21st of July deadline that we had agreed in. Kananaskis, Minister Champagne and LeBlanc had conversations with their counterparts as well. We've restarted the discussions this morning.
Did you get anything in exchange for?
We have, to be clear, it's part of a bigger negotiation. It's something that we expected in the broader sense that would be part of a final deal. We're making progress towards a final deal. There's more to be done, to be clear. And as I just said, which answers the translation question, as I just said, is a question of timing in terms of the date for the final negotiations and when the tax was coming into effect. And it doesn't make sense to collect tax from people and then remit them back. So it provides some certainty. And as I just said, negotiations have restarted. We're going to focus on getting the best deal for Canadians. We're making progress. There's more to do, and we'll keep you updated.
Like I said, he's playing checkers and Trump is playing chess. And I just don't think that he's the guy to go up against Trump in these negotiations. And like I said, like David, if you're going to make a shot, you better make the right one because you can be trampled on. And Canada needs to be smart. I don't think he's handling Trump well. I don't think he's being strategic. I don't think he's being smart. I think that Poilievre would have been 100% a better candidate to deal with Trump, 100%. And there is a reason that Trump wanted Carney in power in Canada, and is because he could control him. That's it. He is a puppet, and he knows it. And I think Poilievre would not have been a puppet. He would have been more challenging for Trump to have to deal with. So, anyways, those are my thoughts there. I just think that Canada. I just saw this picture of Toronto. I just love it. Anyways, Canada, it's a beautiful country. Toronto is a beautiful city. Love it. Grew up there, born and raised. I just very sad to see what's going on in Canada these days. It's just very disheartening to go back and to see, they say no kings, no kings. Well, they're saying that down here, but it's almost like in Canada too. Like it is a democracy, but they're going to tell you that you can't buy, like come 2035, you can't buy a new car in Canada unless it's electric. To me, that sounds like a dictatorship. And it's just the amount of immigration that's coming in and no one's complying no one wants to assimilate into the society. It seems like all these different immigrants are coming in and they're just bringing their values and everything, and they're just pushing it on everybody else. And it's just not going into some other country and wanting to assimilate. It's just everybody for themselves. And it's just not the Canada that I grew up with. Very sad. I can't believe that my Swiss chalet got turned into a Chick-fil-A. That to me, I was beside myself because I had just come from the airport. I was driving to my cousin's house and I went by the Swiss chalet and it's a fucking Chick-fil-A. And then all this shit's going on and there's like, oh no, we got to take this shit up. It was just beyond me. The hypocrisy is just beyond me. So anyways, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm very interested. Am I missing something here? I might be missing something. Maybe I didn't spend enough time there to have a better idea what's going on. But like I said, I have kind of a unique perspective, kind of looking at it from here in the States, looking up there to Canada as to what's going on. It's just very sad. Anyways, love Canada. Happy Canada Day, and talk to you guys soon.